They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
John.
Hi, how's your day and night, pupils? For this first episode of Public Domain Thursdays, I decided to present to you guys a 3-part video of Night of the Living Dead, which recently earned a DVD and Blu-ray release from the Criterion Collection 3 months ago. Now I know, it's a little bit too late because 3 months is a long time, especially in YouTube, but what the heck. Better late than never, right? Anyway, to start things off, I'm going to share to you, if you are a minority who hasn't seen this movie, 3 pieces of info you should know. It was made in 1968, directed by George and Romero, and was and still is considered low budget. But it was a box office success, like a very huge success. $30 million against nowadays about an $800,000 budget, and it popularized and started a subgenre of film, the zombie flick. Because what I think of this movie, it's a concoction of old and new horror. Like James Rolfe would say in his series Monster Madness, it's like an old chiller and a modern splatter flick put together. Now, without time to waste, let's dig and open the coffin of this amazing zombie film, which is 50 years old. It's such a shame that Night of the Living Dead never earned much quality home video releases over the years, compared to the hundreds of inferior and poor versions of the movie out there. The reason for this has to do with 2 obvious words: public domain. Yes, this amazing film never got an official copyright, and the cast and filmmakers never made a dime for themselves. Now, if you're going to see this movie, don't watch the colorized version of the 30th anniversary one that is like the special edition of Star Wars in 1997. The former is distracting and not done well, and the latter was horrible and had unnecessary additional scenes and music. However, thank Criterion for releasing the best release of this movie in a long time. That's the version you should watch and appreciate, from its variety of special features to the DVD/Blu-ray cover it comes in. Anyway, for the sake of time, I'll list my top 3 special features on this release, plus discuss the picture quality and sound of the movie itself. My third favorite special feature is Tones of Terror, which discusses about the music for the film. You see, I already knew that all the music in the film was stock and pre-recorded music, but I had no idea how hard it was for George Romero to place these cues at just the right moments. Now, when you see the final film, the music is so well integrated that you swear it must have been written directly for the picture, but that's not the case. That shows how effective a music editor can be. Next favorite special feature of mine is the Learning from Scratch featurette, featuring John Russo, the co-writer and house zombie of the movie, as he explains the beginnings of the filmmakers of Night of the Living Dead when they were making commercials within their own company, The Latent Image. That company is nothing like mine, Acrobat Pictures, unfortunately. Someday. Anyway, I like how hands-on their own company was like. Although that time had no digital cameras, John and George were like a one-man crew. doing tasks from writing to shooting to editing. Something else I really liked was how their commercial experience translated well to feature filmmaking with their sharp edits and single shots of characters. This featurette just shows the benefit of starting off small in any field of interest, because if you go too big too quickly, where's the foundation to stand on, right? Lastly, my number one favorite special feature is a video essay called Limitations into Virtues, which goes over all the low-budget filmmaking techniques used in the movie. When I saw this, I was surprised by how rough and grimy the cinematography and editing was, and how indifferent the movie was compared to most zombie movies of today. However, it is still a golden work compared to some of the schlock it inspired. So these three features and many more makes the Criterion release of Night of the Living Dead the best home video release of this movie in a long time. If I must say, the impact of this movie is closely equal to the quality of the product itself. It was and still is one of the greats in horror cinema, and I'll explain my reasons. Now, one palpable strength would be the rewatchable nature of this film. Even though it's 50 years old, you can still watch this movie over and over again and get addicted and sucked into the story. Sure, the plot doesn't have much twists and turns that require multiple viewings to fully understand. It's a simple plot for the most part, very straightforward. However, the exciting scenes and solid acting are enough to keep viewers coming back. As a low-budget genre piece, it's a short stab, but very painful. Speaking of which, that pain and shock is what I feel on my first viewing and even soon after. This movie can crawl all over you, definitely with the use of sound, camera angles, and content. It's unpredictable in its scares and plot points, especially for 60s audiences and modern viewers. From the stabbing of a mother by her own zombified daughter to the death of Ben at the very end, it really doesn't give you time to prepare for those moments. It feels like you're in that situation with these characters because you're not expecting what can happen in each minute. You're alert and on your toes constantly. To me, that's one of the qualities that makes a good horror story. It can suck you into its world and make you a participant. Another factor that makes this movie memorable is its intentional and unintentional usage of social commentary and themes roaming throughout its runtime. It's open to interpretation and can be considered a reflection of its time, like how Dawn of the Dead was a reflection of 70s culture and consumerism. One theme people had said was the film's ties to the Vietnam War. Some say the zombies represent the inferior enemy trying to ruin and destroy the civilized people. However, with the strength in large numbers and determination, they have the upper hand within this war. Another notable theme is race, although it is not really relevant in this movie. Although the casting of African-American actor Dwayne Jones as the lead was revolutionary at the time, that didn't mean the film had a racial message to say. So many reviews and commentaries about Night of the Living Dead have said that the director could have picked any race to play the lead role. It didn't matter. He ultimately picked Jones because he was the best actor available to the small production. Speaking of performance, I'll talk about that now. In terms of acting, it's actually pretty solid for a low-budget feature. I mean, with all the chaos that happens in this movie, the actors give it their all to make you be invested in the story. Each of them provides something distinct to their characters, especially the three characters on the Criterion cover of this flick: Dwayne Jones, Carl Hardman, and Judith Odia. Of course, Dwayne Jones is the standout, with his cool charisma and determined nature. He felt so intellectual and approached his role with class. Easily one of the best leading performances in a horror movie. As for Carl Hardman, although he is also the producer of the film, he does know how to give his character, Harry Cooper, that level of anger. However, he also does have good intentions, wanting everybody to be in the cellar, which ends up being the safest place in the film. Ben, how could you be so wrong? Oh well, maybe you didn't have enough wood. Finally, there is Judith Odia, who was an aspiring actress trying to make it into Hollywood before Night of the Living Dead. However, George Romero gave her a call and convinced her to stay in Pittsburgh to play this role of Barbara. Like the rest of the cast, she didn't go on to a vast career in acting, but she is remembered well in this movie. As the precursor to a trope in zombie movies, the ditzy blonde, she at least gives Barbara a sense of relatability and innocence. We, the audience, can be just as traumatized as her, therefore we latch onto her for safety. I especially liked how Odia acts as Barbara in the scene when she first enters the house. Her facial expressions and gestures really make me pay attention to what was going on. Now, I may not be an acting guru, but the performances here were believable for the most part. If I need to rate this film overall, I would give it a 5 for impact and a 4.5 for the movie itself. Still, this flick is one of the best in horror 50 years later. With its social commentary, terrifying elements, and engaging plots, it inspired a lot, and that's why I decided to review it. Ladies and non-ladies, as I would say, have a nice day.